Welcome to the Ivy Boys podcast. I just realized what I just did. I cut to the screen as the song was playing to our screen because I thought it would look cool. But then everybody saw me holding my phone. So that's okay. That's the thing with the whole video podcast that we are still getting used to. So this is the Ivy Boys podcast. I'm your host, Chipper Lewis, and I'm always joined by my co-host, Joel Fry. Joel, how's it going, buddy?
It's going really well, man. What were we? We were hosting last week our first podcast, or first video YouTube, a game and a half. Now they are tied for first place, so heading in the right direction. A couple of series wins and a lot to talk about.
Yes. Couple series wins, huge series wins actually against two extremely, I wouldn't say extremely, but two good ball clubs. The Colorado Rockies and the St. Louis Cardinals. And so, but that's not, of course, the biggest news that has come out of this week, Joel. It is the fact that the Cubs actually have their closer now. Craig Kimbrel has signed a contract with the Chicago Cubs. Theo and Jed got their guy again. It's technically a 3-year deal. The number, for whatever reason, the dollar amount has completely escaped me. I know that
it was 3 years, $43 million.
Thank you, $43 million. I know that's $10 million prorated for this year, and then the following 2 years it's $16 million, which is $1 million more than Wade Davis got. And ultimately, that's what Craig Kimbrel ultimately wanted. He wanted to be paid the highest any reliever has ever gotten paid. Which you look at his body of work the last 9 years, 7 All-Star games. Career ERA of 191, 333 career saves. Can you make that? I mean, is he wrong for thinking that he should be paid the most ever for any reliever?
No, he's had an unbelievable Hall of Fame caliber career. He's going to be a Cub for the next 3 seasons, 2.5. And frankly, the only knock against him, there were two. One of them was his walk rate last year. It tripled over what he had been for the last year, his career or whatever. So that was a worry as far as trends go. But then also the fact that he's 31. Being on the wrong side of 30 now in baseball is almost the kiss of death. And the Cubs are willing to bet that he is going to age well enough in his age 32 and 33 seasons that he is worth that kind of money, and he is the linchpin at the end of the bullpen. A bullpen that does have a guy already who they were anticipating to be their closer before this season in Brandon Morrow. His injuries have necessitated this, and you know what? It makes your bullpen stronger once Morrow gets back. He can be in that 8th inning role, one that he excelled in during his time as a Dodger.
Yes, he did excel with his time as a Dodger. That's what he was known for. He set up Kenley Jansen, and then he showed up to Chicago, as the guy who's supposed to close, and his injuries caught up with him. And unfortunately, and I hope I'm wrong on this one, but I feel like I'm not, because he's still throwing on flat ground. The fact that he has not been on a mound yet this year. That the Dodgers got the best of Brandon Morrow as the relief pitcher. And I hate saying it, but his contract's up after this year. So it would not surprise me at all if we may have seen the last of Brandon Morrow as a Cub last year. Joel, is that a possibility? Is it fair to make that statement?
It's fair to make the statement. I don't think it's going to be the case. And if it is, how lucky is Brandon Morrow that the same offseason the Cubs got him, they also got Yu Darvish. So as far as disappointing contracts goes, his pales in comparison to that because it is so much longer and it's so much more money. But how unlikely is it that of the 3 contracts, those 2 and Tyler Chatwood, that Chatwood's contract is going to look like the best by the time it has completed?
Out of all 3, that's unreal to think. I honestly thought it was going to be Brandon Morrow. I was very weary of the Yu Darvish contract. I know that was what was out there for him, and he was the top starter at the time. I get it. I get that contract. But I was still weary on it because you just don't know. I mean, the guy was coming. The guy has already had Tommy John surgery. He went to L.A. He pitched well for the Dodgers, but I wouldn't say it was as good as, let's say, what they did when he was with Texas. My computer's being weird. And so I was a little weary. I thought that Brandon Morrow was a shutdown contract. I thought guaranteed that was going to work out, and it very well it looks like it very well could not, and that's just good. Like I said, good thing it's a 2-year deal. Good thing it's up after this year. I mean, obviously not good for Brandon Morrow if this is it for him. I hope it's not. I hope that he gets on somewhere, preferably an AL team that the Cubs don't play ever again, and he comes back and pitches like the Brandon Morrow did with the LA Dodgers.
I'm blown away still by those 3 contracts. Now, at the time, I was so excited about Yu Darvish, and I was fine with Brandon Morrow, but was aware of the injury history. And then Tyler Chatwood was kind of it was a cipher of a contract. It was a 0. It didn't really make much of a difference to me. Whatever you get out of him, fine. Apparently, his metrics played well with pitching in Wrigley Field. His peripherals, and last year was a disaster because he couldn't find the strike zone, but now he is finding the strike zone more, not well, but more. And you see what the case is. That brings me back to thinking about Kimbrel, because he walked a lot of guys as a Red Sox last year, and you wonder. Apparently, what I'm hearing is he had bullpen sessions when he was working out for teams, and he was electric. I think those were the words that Rosenthal used, or somebody. Ken Rosenthal, I think, was the guy who said he was absolutely unbelievable. Maybe Jeff Passan in his workouts. So it's entirely possible that he is ready to go if he's working that much. A guy with a career ERA of 1.91. Last year he was 2.74. That is in 532 innings. Kimbrel, a 1.91 ERA, a WHIP of 0.92 in 533 innings. I don't care if you're a reliever, if you're weeks for 15 years. Any period of 530 innings where your WHIP is 0.92 and stuff over 1968, 69. That's Pedro Martinez's 99 and 2000 seasons. Over the course of your career, Kimbrel has been that reliable. A guy who averages 15 strikeouts per 9 innings for his career. His walk rate, he was at 4.5 walks per 9 innings, which puts him right in line with the rest of the Cubs relievers, quite frankly, when you think about it. So, and 31 years old, 7-time All-Star. You guys as Cubs fans should be so, I won't tell you how to feel, but I feel like you should be so excited that you're going to, statistically, the greatest reliever in the history of the game. Take away saves. Take away the actual statistic of saves, because Mariano Rivera, by that measure, is the greatest. And of class of what the Yankees were, the best failed in the 90s and the 2000s. So, you got a 18-year stretch there where he was that. He had more opportunities than anybody. Kimbrel, in an appearance-to-appearance, on an appearance-by-appearance basis, the best closer who ever lived, and now he's a Chicago Cub for the near future, which is very exciting.
It's extremely exciting. I do want to apologize right now. We know we are experiencing technical difficulties a little bit. I know Joel's kind of bringing back his robot voice. We are still trying to get the hold of this whole video podcast, so you have to bear with us here in the first few episodes as we work out this situation. But, I mean, you still heard what he said. I know the voice isn't matching the picture and stuff like that, what you're seeing, but definitely just hold off. Also, my computer's being kind of stupid. I think that has a lot to do with it. But that's where we are. So, again, apologize for the technical difficulties, but just bear with us through that. We promise we have really, really good content. So Craig Kimbrel, yeah, I agree with you. He is arguably the best closer, relief pitcher in Major League Baseball history. That's what
Yep.
you were saying, right, Joel? Is that I mean, how can you argue with that? I mean, the guy, he's won World Series. He's won, he's had 333 career saves. Again, like you said, throw the saves out of the window. Because, I mean, Trevor Hoffman pitched what? Forever, it seemed like.
Mm-hmm.
And he finally got to those numbers. And then, of course, Mo, and perfect example, Rivera being on the Yankees the whole time. How good were the Yankees every time Mo Rivera was on that team? Amazing. So he had the opportunity to be
you're
saved.
right.
Right? I mean, if the opportunities aren't there to be for the saves, then you're not going to get the saves. It's kind of like pitcher wins in a sense.
Yep.
Like, okay, that's awesome. 300 wins is an amazing stat. 20 wins in a season is an absolute amazing stat. That means you're good. You're really, really good if you can do something like that. But there's been plenty of pitchers who have had one great season that have gotten 20 wins, John Lieber. And then they just right, exactly. Then just completely fell off the table. They weren't great pitchers for the whole career. They had one great year. 300 career wins. Now that's something else. That's when the win argument gets thrown in. I think when you hit about the 250 career wins, I'll start paying attention to your wins. But other than that, if you're going to start throwing the fact that John Lester has 5 wins this year, well, he's not doing very well if he only has 5 wins. Get out of here. It is just like that with the saves. If the saves aren't there because your middle relief gave up the lead or, something along that line, then why is that shouldn't affect you for your, you shouldn't be punished for that, right? You have to look at the other numbers when it comes to closers.
Who would you have before Craig Kimbrel in history? How many pitchers do you have?
You're asking how many relief pitchers I would have ahead of Craig Kimbrel? Or pitchers in
how
general?
Many? How many guys would you need 3 outs in the bottom of the 9th in the World Series? How many closers do you pick before you get to Craig Kimbrel?
1.
Mo?
Yeah, I'd still go Mo. Because the
you
guy
had him ahead of.
Because the guy has ice in his veins. He's got ice water
You have
running
him
through his veins.
ahead of Billy Wagner?
Yep, I do. And Wagner
Okay.
was great, but I have Mo. It's still Mo for me. Yeah.
Mo, I mean, yeah, it's hard to argue with him.
It really is.
And I'm
It
trying to think
really
if there's
is.
anybody else I'd even.
I mean, his playoff
But,
ERA alone is what? It's not even above 1.
It's almost like a Tom Brady versus Aaron Rodgers argument in a lot of ways. And because if I'm going to make cross-sport analogies, a guy with the most championships, the most opportunities versus a guy who straight up stuff is probably better. I mean, Rivera had one of the greatest pitches in the history of baseball with the cut fastball. Is otherworldly. Frankly, I'm looking forward to watching him more closely and seeing how he gets his outs, how he remains effective from one night to the next, and applying that to my knowledge of what Rivera did and seeing so much of him because the Yankees are such a high-profile team. When Kimbrel was a Brave, he certainly was not top of mind for a lot of baseball fans. So it'll be fun to watch him more often and just see what makes him so special, because I can't quantify that as well as I would like to be able to. I mean, when he was a Padre, you and I, I'm sure, didn't watch him. I hardly saw him at all when he was a Padre. I don't think you caught much of that.
No, not at all. I mean, MLB.TV wasn't really a thing, and the only time you saw the Padres
Yep.
is when they played the Cubs, or if I was living here in St. Louis playing the Cardinals.
Correct. So yeah, I mean it'll be fun to watch him and just see what makes him what makes Craig Kimbrel Craig Kimbrel, because I can think of many different Mariano Rivera moments, and I can't think of those with Kimbrel unless they happened against the Cubs. In all honesty.
Yeah, yeah, when he was with the Braves. That's the Craig Kimbrel I'm thinking of. It's when I think of Craig Kimbrel, I'll tell you exactly what I think of when I think of Craig Kimbrel. I think
Okay.
of the crane, the arm sticking out
Of course,
thing. I mean, that's Craig Kimbrel. I mean, it really is.
the
And
chicken wing.
the chicken wing. Thank you. What was it when he was with Atlanta and they went to Philadelphia? They were imitating him behind the stands.
Mm-hmm.
And
Mm-hmm.
that's something that's always stuck with me is that. But I also think of the 98, 99 mile per hour fastball that he throws. That's something else I think of Craig Kimbrel.
Yes.
I think of the curveball. I think he throws a knuckle curve if I'm not mistaken. I think of that you're looking for the 99 mile per hour fastball for strike three, and then here comes the knuckle curve, and your knees buckle, and then you're sitting on the bench. That's something else I think of when I think of Craig Kimbrel. He also throws a changeup that sits roughly about 93, 92 miles per hour. And if your changeup is about 92, 93, think about that. Kyle Hendricks' fastball is what? Maybe 90?
Hendricks, no, he lives at 88, 89. I would be.
I said
I'd
maybe.
have to. I'd have to
he's
look
got
at a
to be
chart to
like
see how often
pumped
he
up.
flips to 90.
It's got to be like a 80-degree day, partly cloudy. Hendricks has to be pumped up for whatever reason, and he might be able to touch 90 with his fastball. Maybe.
Right. Right.
So
Right. So
the
I
changeup.
don't know.
Is
Here's my
92.
worry. Here's my worry. Sorry. You can go ahead.
No, go ahead. I was done. I mean, Kimbrel's changeup's at 92, which is what, 4 miles per hour faster than the average Kyle Hendricks fastball.
Yeah, and not only that, you look at the differentiation between fastball and changeup, and Kimbrel's got it. I mean, you look at maybe a 10 mile per hour difference, 7, 8, 9, 10 miles an hour. So it's a good arsenal he's got. What I was gonna say was, I remember when the Cubs traded for Aroldis Chapman. It's hard not to remember that because you watch the Yankees and you see Gleyber Torres. You also see Aroldis Chapman, but he got the Cubs the World Series, so I'm good with him.
Right.
But you almost, he had this mythical quality when the Cubs got him because he threw 105 miles an hour. And yes, the Cubs saw him a lot because he was a member of the Reds. But when you saw him, he looked unhittable. Incredibly hard to hit because he was throwing 104, 105, fastest fastball in the history of the game at the time. And I think Jordan Hicks might be a little bit faster now. But
Yes, 105.
at the time,
by the way, 105.3 Jordan Hicks.
Okay. But Chapman, I mean, he was this legendary entity when he first came into the league, and the many times he faced the Cubs as a Red during the few games where they actually had a lead going into the ninth inning, and he came to the Cubs, and being able to watch him every day took away a lot of the mystique and the romanticism around him, and it also showed how maddeningly hittable he was with just straight heat. Because if you throw a ball straight, doesn't matter how fast it goes, a major league hitter will be able to time it up at some point. And
yes,
he was not nearly as locked down as I expected him to be. Give you an example. I felt more comfortable in most late inning games with Wade Davis on the mound in 17 than I did with Aroldis Chapman on the mound in 16.
Completely agree with you on that. 100%. I felt better with Wade Davis closing out that game 5 against the Nationals in 2017 than I would have if it was Aroldis Chapman.
Yes, high five to that. But
Air high five. Ready? Air high five. We gotta go this way. There we go.
Here, I'm just gonna cover my bases.
Yeah. For you, I
Perfect.
think you gotta go to your. I don't know. We'll figure that out next time. But we're working on that one. I like that. That's
Everything
gonna be
else
thing.
is going to be totally, it's going to be improvised, and we're just going to kind of speak off the cuff. But we're going to have this high five thing choreographed magnificently
It's gonna
by
be awesome.
episode 3. Yeah, totally. So watch out for that, folks.
Yes.
The thing with Chapman is exactly what worries me about Kimbrel. Is we watched him that he looks decidedly average or mortal compared to the image of him we have in our mind. And then the postseason comes. Oh, I pray that the Cubs are in the postseason. And Kimbrel shows some fragility. I know that's a long ways away. The Cubs have only played 63 games, and you've got 99 to go, and you got to win. Of those 99, you got to win 60 games in the playoffs. I think you got to get to 95 wins again this year.
Yeah, I agree.
And have greater ability with Kimbrel. The issues that they have in the bullpen are not completely assuaged by this guy, and I worry that the Chapman effect is going to hit him, where he just looks normal sometimes, man.
Well, it's all going to come the way Joel uses it, too. Think about it. Chapman was used a lot when he first came over here. I mean, we're talking going, 3 innings, maybe 2.5, not entering the game on a clean inning at all. That's a huge part. But that's where having the experience of Pedro Strop, Steve Cishek, and, yes, even Brandon Kinsler is going to help with that. And then eventually, hopefully, Brandon Morrow. That's going to help with that. Is the fact that if Kimbrel doesn't have to A, enter in a dirty inning, and B, doesn't have to go 2.5, 3 innings, that's going to help a lot with the fatigue that Chapman faced in 2016.
You're right. You're right about that.
Gosh, I'm glad that I have that on recording. I love hearing that, by the way, that I'm right. Speaking of the Cubs making the postseason, according to baseball,
You're
what?
right.
What? Say that again.
I was gonna say, is that what you want? You're happy that you have me saying you're right unrecorded?
Yes, that is what I'm saying. It's like if
Okay. Well, here, let's get a clean one of these, just in case you want to make it a ringtone for whenever I call you. Ready? Are you ready for this?
Yes, I'm ready.
Chipper, your points are so good. Okay.
It's done. That is going to be my new ringtone, and I love every minute of it.
Great.
Speaking of playoff odds, by the way, according to Baseball Reference, the Cubs have an 87.6% chance of making the postseason.
All right. That sounds about right.
I'm okay with that. Only 9.5% to win the World Series, though.
Remember last year when it was like you just 94.8% chance to win the division with like 2 weeks to go, and then all hell broke loose?
Yeah, because Milwaukee didn't lose.
That's right. Right.
They didn't lose. Cardinals player falls down rounding third. The Cubs still go 6-4 in their last 10 and still lose the division.
Yeah, and I remember Theo's postseason conference, his end of year news conference, when he talked about the team going 4-3 when you needed to go 5-2, and I'm like, man, that's tough to do in baseball. Seriously, I can't get mad at 4-3, because if you go 4-3 all year, you're gonna win 94, 95 games. They did what they do all year. Look at the Cubs' season last year in 9-game increments. It was all 4-3, 3-4, 5-2, 5-2, 4-3, 5-2, 4-3. Like just over and over and over again. The Cubs didn't go on any remarkable runs, but you win 4 out of 7, you get to 95 wins.
They had a career 2 weeks from Orlando Arcia and Wade Miley. That's how the Brewers won the division. And it still took them 163.
And a career 6 months from Christian Yelich.
And it still took them 163 to do it. And Rizzo's hit almost went out. I want to talk about how close that was. That was borderline warning track. That was a lot further than when he first made contact. I thought he did it. I thought he tied that game. I really did. I never talked about that because I'm trying not to remember that day. But I thought Rizzo tied the game when that ball left the bat.
Okay, well, I'd have to put myself back in that headspace. I don't remember if I thought that.
Okay. I did, and it still haunts me to this day.
I remember being deflated before the game. Like, just the fact that we had to play... the Cubs had to play a game 163. Like, I was so bothered by that I wonder if that didn't overtake all other emotions that I could have potentially had that game.
No, I get it. I do. I mean, honestly, if you look back, like 3 days before that, a Cardinals rookie fell down rounding third. And if he didn't fall down rounding third, the Cubs would have won the division.
One other time that I had that emotion, by the way, since we're kind of on this subject, Game 1 of the 2016 World Series when the Cubs were in it, I did not care what the outcome of that game was. I was sitting there for 3.5 or 4 hours, and nothing crossed my mind aside from, holy crap, I'm watching the Cubs in the World Series.
Completely agree with you.
Nothing else in that game mattered. By Game 2, I certainly wanted them to... I cared who won or lost the next game. But at Game 1, I seriously let it sink in. And I haven't let a lot of stuff sink in that quickly. That was one of them, where I went, I'm watching the Cubs in the World Series. I need to remember this forever. I made sure my kids were awake for it.
Yep.
All of it. Just it mattered so much.
One of the really cool stats from that first game that that stuck with me was that Dexter Fowler led that game off. That was the first African-American Cubs player to ever have an at-bat in a World Series.
That's very cool.
That is really, really cool. That's something that he can honestly say he's
Edwards
the only
the first
one to ever
African-American pitcher to throw a pitch for the Cubs in the World Series?
Yeah, because he pitched in Game 1, didn't he? Actually, it doesn't
I am
matter.
almost positive he did. He felt like he pitched in 8 of the 7 games in the World Series.
8 of the 7. It does. It does. I agree with you. It does.
But back to this. I mean, yeah. Anyway, I don't even know how we got off on this.
Did you know we started this talking about Craig Kimbrel, right?
Yes, we talked about Cubs closers, and of course that gets back to the 2016 World Series. I want to see if we can find a topic that is Cubs related that at this point doesn't get back to the 2016 World Series, like food options at the ballpark. You know, we love the Big Slugger nachos, which is something that they started in 2017. My wife loved it, and which is great because when we went to ball games in 2016, the year the Cubs won the World Series, they didn't have that, and they had much more limited options. Now they have chefs coming in, and it's just much more gourmet options at the ballpark.
There you go. It still went back to 2016. I get a hot dog.
Kimbrel.
I don't get fancy food when I go to a game. I get a hot dog. That's what I get. I get a hot dog and a beer. Or as in the Field of Dreams, what do you have? And I'll just take a dog and a beer. That's exactly what I get when I go to the ballpark. Is a dog and a beer.
When you go to Chicago, when you go to Cubs games, do you get a Chicago dog or do you get just a regular hot dog?
I just get a regular hot dog. It's too messy, especially if I'm sitting in the bleachers.
Also, the Chicago dogs at Wrigley Field are not the best you can get, so I do not want to get them. I just get a regular hot dog too. You're right.
Same with the Italian beefs. They're not the best.
No, and the Giordano's pizza, man. They have the personal pan pizzas, and they're under those lights, the heating lamp, for way too long. They're just not nearly as good.
Giordano's is unbelievably overrated. Lou Malnati's is the best deep dish pizza in Chicago.
Okay, I agree with you that Malnati's is the best. The second best is Pequod, and the third best is Giordano's.
I agree.
But I do not
third
think
best
that
is Pisano's. Third best is Pisano's. And if you have not been to Pisano's on Madison in Michigan, you have to go. It's absolutely amazing.
Is it at Madison, Michigan? Really?
Yeah.
Man, I walk by there all the time. Well, for those of you who don't know, I live in Des Moines, Iowa, home of the AAA Iowa Cubs, the AAA affiliate of the Chicago Cubs. But I do make it to Chicago fairly often, and I will have to look for that next
Yep.
time I'm that far south on Michigan, which I am. Whenever I go on Michigan, I'm usually that far south, but I don't frequent that
Yeah,
place. So thank you, Chipper, for the
if
recommendation.
you turn down Madison, it's going to be on the left side.
All right, cool. I will keep that in mind next time I
Yeah,
go. I swear
it's
to
good.
you, pinky. So we'll do an air high five and an air pinky swear
We're
here.
going to do that. We're going to be those guys. Okay, that almost
Very
worked.
good.
It almost
Okay.
worked.
All right. I will go to Paisanos.
Yeah, it's really good. Really good.
Cool.
Lou Malnati's is the best, though. There's no
It is.
question there.
That butter crust is
Oh my gosh,
unbeatable.
It's outrageous. And even if you go to the Schaumburg location, it tastes just as good.
I like that one a lot, man. What do
I
you
do too.
don't even if you go to the Schaumburg one?
Well,
that's my
not the
favorite one.
original.
No, but neither is the one in Lincoln Square.
The original
I
Lou
love it.
Malnati's is the original anything is the best. Everybody knows that.
Where is it, in Lincolnwood or something?
Something
Where's
like
the
that.
original Malnati's?
Something like that. There's so many different neighborhoods in Chicago that I get lost exactly what neighborhood. So
I'm gonna look it up. I seriously think it's Lincolnwood.
it,
Anyway,
it very
so,
well could be.
yeah, of course. So this all is a discussion on Craig Kimbrel.
Craig Kimbrel. We still got this. We got here because of Craig Kimbrel. Yeah. So he's the Cubs closer now. They're shooting about June 30th is from what my understanding. Because you said, he's been throwing bullpen sessions while he was not signed. So it's like he was keeping his training going. He just has to now face live hitting. That's what this is going to come down to, is how long is it going to take him to feel comfortable when he's facing live hitting. He's been optioned to Iowa or something like that, which did you find that weird? But it's true. So he's been in 9 years and he just got optioned to Iowa.
Yeah, well, hey,
He's not out of options technically.
Look, man, in his career. So his first season, he pitched in 21 games for the Braves. He had an ERA, by the way, in 21 games. He's never started a game. In 21 games, he had an ERA of 0.44 in 20 innings. And I don't care who you are, in 20 innings, if your ERA is 0.44, you're unbelievable, especially as a 22-year-old rookie. Since then, Chipper, he has not pitched in fewer than 57 games. He's only pitched in fewer than 60 games in 1 year during his career. So the guy is durable as well as unhittable. In his career, he allows 4.8 hits per 9 innings. He is tough to hit, my man.
Yeah, he is. He is tough to hit, and that's why the Cubs got him. That's why he's been the best closer the last 9 years in Major League Baseball, because no one can hit him. The walks are what gets him in trouble.
For every hit he allows, he strikes out 3 batters.
That's ridiculous. That is
impossible.
That's absolutely ridiculous. It is, but like I said, the walks get him in trouble, because when you start walking people, then you have to start throwing it down the middle. And when you throw it down the middle, that's when people start hitting. And that's where the blown saves come for Craig Kimbrel. Is that situation, is when he starts walking people. I'm not saying it's a big issue. The walks, yeah, he had it was an issue last year for Boston, but I think it's 1 year. It's 1 year of 9 years. Just look at it. The track record tells me that he's going to be fine.
Yes. So, okay. I just mentioned that for every hit he allows, he strikes out 3 batters. Nolan Ryan has allowed the fewest hits per 9 inning of any pitcher in the history of baseball. Per 9 innings, he allowed 6.6 hits. That's very few. He only had 1 season where he had 2 strikeouts to every hit allowed. Kimbrel, for his career, has 3 strikeouts to every hit allowed. This is a huge signing for the Cubs. Last year was actually a better year in that way than for Kimbrel than in his career. He allowed 4.5 hits. He allows a hit every other inning. If you're keeping track at home, if you don't give up hits, it's hard to give up runs.
Yeah.
And he doesn't do that. This is, I mean, give the Cubs a lead going into the 9th inning, and I will give you a 99% chance they win the game with Kimbrel there.
Amazing. That's just amazing to think right there. I mean, 12 blown saves. That's what the Cubs have right now. 12.
Isn't that dumb? 12 blown saves.
And 25
You're a
attempts.
damn good baseball team. You cut that in half. You're still bad at closing out ball games at this point if you've blown 6 saves. And at that point, you're running away with the division with the 3-game lead. So,
exactly. Well, you forget that. With Craig Kimbrel, realistically, 25 save opportunities. That's what the Cubs have had this year. And, well, I guess it's 26 now with Friday's game. 26 opportunities. You have 14 saves, 12 blown saves. You can honestly say that if you have Craig Kimbrel, most likely those blown saves are cut down to 2. And
I was going to say 20. I was going to say 3. And yeah, I'd even have to look if he blows that many.
Yeah, exactly. That's it, exactly. So that's 10 wins. And now we're talking about them just as good. And we're talking the same conversation of them with the Houston Astros and the LA Dodgers. Same conversation as the best teams in baseball. If they had Craig Kimbrel to start the season, or if they didn't blow 12 saves.
You're right about that.
Because that's 10 games. They're what, 34? Something like that? I mean, I have it pulled up right here. I can look really quick.
The
36.
Cubs are 35 and 27.
They're 36 and 27.
Oh, are the Cubs 36?
They're 36.
Oh, that's right.
Add 10 games. Add 10
yeah,
games to that.
You're 46 and 17.
46 and 17. The LA Dodgers are 45 and 21. The Houston Astros are 45 and 22. You would be the best team in baseball.
Yep. And hey, if ifs and buts were candies nuts, we'd all have a Merry Christmas. So the Cubs are where they are, 35 and 27. You just hope that Kimbrel makes that much of a difference going forward now. It slots everyone more appropriately. Cishek where he needs to be. Edwards, who by the way has pitched. I hope we talk a little bit more about Carl Edwards today.
Absolutely.
He's pitched very well lately. And if Morrow comes back, and I have to say if Morrow comes back, he's your 8th inning lockdown guy as long as he's healthy. So,
which means Strop is your 7th.
Oh my gosh! And he's a guy with closer stuff. He's done a fine job. Yeah, he's blown a couple of saves this year, but he's playing out of role. And his importance to the team right now is oversized. But he is still a very good pitcher. Has been for the last several years for the Cubs, and I trust him in the 7th inning more than anybody else on the team.
Yeah, I do too. Actually, now that I think about it, I don't know. The way Brandon Kinsler. Salt. How great has he been?
Great. He's been absolutely great. You're right.
You can't argue with it. I mean, so if you have Strop and Salt in the 7th, and then a package of Edwards and Montgomery in the 6th.
And Cishek where you need Cishek.
And then, of course, if Morrow comes back and then Kimbrel, this bullpen is that much better now. It's just that much better. It was the biggest weakness going in, and with the signing of Craig Kimbrel, it puts everybody in their role and has made them arguably one of the best bullpens in the game on paper.
Remember how we talked, and I know I specifically talked about it the last couple of weeks, how if you want to turn your bullpen into a strength, you might have to turn another part of your team into a weakness. That's off the table now. That's no longer an issue. You can keep your other strengths strong. In a lot of ways, your depth that is so potent that is part of the reason that you're winning ball games because no one is a negative win player on your bench. That's there now, man. Carlos Gonzalez is playing fine. I mean, he's playing like a 37-year-old man or whatever, but he's had some good moments too. So if he ends up being almost the weakest link on the bench, you feel good about where this team is, honestly.
That's
and
awesome.
All you did was gain a guy.
I mean, now you're not focused on Ken Giles. You're focused on guys like maybe Sean Doolittle. That might cost a little bit in people-wise. Will Smith, Tony Watson, guys like that. That's what you're focused on now.
Mr. Tony Watson.
Mr. Tony Watson. Because of the emergence of not only signing Kimbrel, but with Kinsler, Salt being that much better and the possibility of the turnaround of Carl Edwards Jr., now you're looking just to add a middle relief guy instead of trying to find that back-end guy.
What's it going to take for Carl Edwards Jr. to remove the possible from? I mean, are you going to need to see this through the end of August? Are you going to need to see it in the first round of the postseason? What's going to make this a legitimate reemergence for you?
Until the Cubs are done playing baseball this season.
all right, that's fine. I get it.
Right? I mean,
I get it.
I'm not wrong. I mean, he can't do this for another week and then suck again, and I'm not going to think that he's not good.
So he and Schwarber are a lot alike in some
Yes.
ways in my mind.
I know exactly where. Is it weird that as soon as you said Schwarber, I knew exactly where you were going? This is the Ivy Boys podcast presented by RebeccaSellsDreams.com. Rebecca Lewis of Coldwell Baker Gundecker, 314-369-9680. I knew exactly where you were going with that as second you said Schwarber.
Yeah, because you think about what the potential was for these guys after the 2016 season. You thought you had a closer of the future, and you thought you had a 45 home run, 140 RBI guy. These were two guys with very young with unlimited potential. And then 2017 happened, and you saw some cracks in the armor. Schwarber getting sent down, Edwards being a guy who couldn't throw a strike to a pitcher in the NLCS. He walked Yu Darvish on 4 pitches to walk in a run.
Yep.
And so you go from great potential to lowered expectations to disappointment to possible even reclamation project. And now it almost seems like you're looking for redemption for both of those guys. Schwarber's been a hell of a leadoff hitter. Really good for a while. We'll talk about that later, I'm sure. And Edwards, at that same token, has been a great relief pitcher, and I'm excited because I've always liked the guy. I just hope for more of him from a strike thrower standpoint.
I feel like the only issue with the Edwards numbers is I feel like Joe has not really put him in a high leverage situation.
Not consistently. I think there have been 1 or 2 times when he's done it, but I get what you're saying. He probably has put Chatwood in more high leverage situations than Edwards.
I mean, Chatwood has what? 2 saves? 1 save?
Yeah.
2? Something like that. So yeah, Chatwood's been in those situations. Which, I mean, again, it's working. I mean, his stuff fits perfectly as a closer. It reminds me of Carlos Martinez with the St. Louis Cardinals. I mean, the guy can't pitch a full game anymore. He's not a starter. He's in the bullpen. And his stuff works in the bullpen. Kerry Wood, when he became a relief pitcher, his stuff, he's got 5 pitches. That stuff works in a bullpen. It really does. Mm-hmm. And then you can even eliminate 2 of your worst pitches when you go to the bullpen and just focus improving the pitches that are your best.
Kerry Wood makes me realize what an unbelievable thing Ryan Dempster did in being a starter who was converted to a bullpen guy and then worked his way back into the starting rotation. He came full circle. That is so hard to do once you've been relegated to bullpen guy. I don't even think John Smoltz did it. I think he ended his career as a bullpen pitcher.
No, he went back to being a starter, I think.
Okay, well, if it's Ryan Dempster and John Smoltz, I'm trying to think of other guys who did it, and it's hard for me to keep that up.
I mean, Smoltz is the only Hall of Famer.
Yeah. Only guy with 200 wins and 150 saves. Oh, I shouldn't say that. I got to check and see if Dennis Eckersley has that. But either way.
Oh, I forgot about X. I forgot about him. It's easy to forget about Dennis Eckersley, isn't it?
Sadly, it is.
Like we had a whole conversation about closers, ultimate closers, and we never mentioned the first ever, the original Dennis Eckersley. That never got brought up.
Well, the original closer was Hoyt Wilhelm, but that was way back in like the 60s and 70s. His career, I believe this is right. I think when he retired, someone's going to check this and hit. Actually, Joel, it was about 17 more saves than you said. I think the number was 247. When Hoyt Wilhelm retired in 1971 or 72, he had 247 career saves. And that was the record for like a decade? Maybe Raleigh Fingers was the next guy to break it. I'll have to check on that.
See, there's another guy I forget about, Raleigh Fingers. I forget about him.
Yeah. And neither of those guys, by the way, I would rather have ahead of Craig Kimbrel. So feel good, Cubs fans.
No, not at all. Yeah, feel good. We don't have Raleigh Fingers. Or Hoyt.
228. It was 228 was Hoyt Wilhelm's record when he retired.
Okay. Hoyt. I just like saying that. Hoyt. You gotta say it. You gotta say it like that. Like you're from a New York neighborhood. Like Hoyt.
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 Or like Curly. Quit hoiting me, Mo.
Hoiting me, Mo. That was really good. That was a good Curly impression. I like that.
Thanks, man.
Yeah, you're welcome. You're welcome. So, anyways,
Rolly Fingers 341. Lee Smith broke his record. Okay. Yep. So
Lee Smith,
anyway,
there you go. There's another name.
Yep.
We
Lee
can-
Smith,
Yeah.
former Cub Lee Smith.
Yeah. Hall of Famer.
Yep.
Shouldn't be a Hall of Famer. I'm sorry.
Yeah. Well, hey, he's a. It's weird how the Cubs have kind of taken him back as a Cubs legend, even though when I think of Lee Smith, I think of him as a Cardinal.
Me too.
Yeah.
Kind of like Bruce Sutter.
You're right about that. Yeah, 100%.
Sutter's a Cardinal. He's not a Cub.
No, not at all. Oh, by the way, just in case you're wondering out there, Greg Maddux, he's a Brave.
Oh, absolutely.
He pitched more seasons with the Cubs. Did you know that? He pitched 11 years with the Cubs, 10 with the Braves.
It was those last years with the Cubs that got him over that.
Yeah, he didn't wear a team logo on his hat in the Hall of Fame. I think that is a huge slap in the face to Braves fans.
I completely agree.
Yeah, I get not wanting to identify, one or the other, but dude, you went to several World Series. You had your best. You won 4 straight Cy Youngs. 3 of them were as a Brave. Your best seasons were as a Brave. It's okay. Cubs fans will understand. I think you're a Brave.
We're fine with that. Okay, can you name all his teams that he played for?
Yeah, maybe. He played for the Cubs first, then the Braves and the Cubs. Then he was a Dodger and a Padre?
That is correct.
Okay.
A lot of people forget about the Padre. They think he retired when he was with LA.
As a Padre, only reason I remember that was because he had a great moment. He threw 6 no-hit innings as a Padre. There was a rain delay, and he was taken out of the game. And he was asked after the game, does it bother you? You've never had a no-hitter in your career. Would you have liked to have gone for the no-hitter? Stay out there until, he was like 43 or whatever. And Maddux, of course, said, no, it's okay. I had a no-hitter in Little League, so I have had a no-hitter in my career. It wasn't that great, and I can live with myself if I never get one. I loved that about him.
Funny.
So that's how I remembered he was a Padre,
That's
that
good.
little anecdote.
That's good. I like that.
Yeah.
So Craig Kimbrel's the closer.
Mm-hmm.
We said 3 years, $43 million.
Yes.
Really 2.5, but whatever. 2.5 years.
Yes.
So the Cubs got their closer. Something else that that have really been driving this Cubs team has been Jose Contreras. I almost said Jose Contreras. By the way, that would have been.
He has not been driving the Cubs.
Whew, it's not even close. Wilson Contreras.
Yes.
He has been. How huge has he been? 290 average, 394 on base. He gets on base 40% of the time he comes to bat.
Yep. And
That's Bryce Harper level, by the way.
he has already exceeded last season's totals in home runs. He is just a better overall player in so many ways than he was last year. He had 10 homers in 2018. He has 13 in 57 games in 2019. That's wonderful.
That's awesome.
A 946 OPS. If you are keeping track at home, the Cubs 2, 3, 4, and 5 hitters all have an OPS over 900 so far this season.
Is that good?
That's very good. That's very good, Chipper. That is a winning formula.
Okay, good.
He has an OPS plus Contreras of 143. That means he is 43% better than your average major league catcher. That is significant. You can make the argument that he's the best offensive catcher in baseball. He is maybe the worst framing catcher in baseball, but he has one of the best arms, and he is one of the more feared catchers in baseball to run off of. So a net super positive from Wilson Contreras.
Yes. Yeah. I mean, it is just, if he keeps this pace up, are you prepared? I'm not prepared yet to say this and believe it when I say it. If he can pull this off all year and improve with his defense even more, including his framing, are you prepared to say he is the best catcher in Major League Baseball?
I am prepared to say that. As a 27-year-old, yes. Who, anybody else you mention, I think, I'm going to have to think about this for a little bit. Who would you mention that is either his age or younger in the best catcher in baseball? I want to say best offensive catcher in baseball.
I have to look this up. I have name in mind. I have to look it up. I don't want to tell you. I don't want to say him and it not be him.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Well, yeah, I totally get that. Among catchers under 30, he is almost certainly the best offensive catcher in baseball. It's a hard position to hit well at.
He's the second.
And
under 30.
Who's your first?
To answer your question, it's nobody. Or your original question, it's nobody because Contreras is 27. But if you're going under 30, it's JT Realmuto.
Okay. Now, just for folks who don't have a chance to look that up, what are Realmuto's peripherals? What are his stats?
Now you have to understand, I wikied that. I wikied his age. I didn't do Baseball Reference. You got to give me a second on that one. All
right, so just so folks know, here. Okay, you know what? I still think it's a debate. So let's talk about this for a second.
Yeah, I've got him in front of me.
Realmuto. All right, so Contreras, for people remembering, 290 hitter, 946 OPS is, I believe, what I said.
Yeah.
A 143 OPS plus. 143 OPS plus. Now, JT Realmuto, Chipper, you have his numbers up?
I do.
Okay, what do they look like, man?
This season, it's 274 average, 331 on base, slugging of 461, OPS of 792,
Much
OPS
worse.
plus of 105.
Much worse.
But what I'm saying is I have to see Contreras do this for the whole year to put him ahead of JT Realmuto and his career, because he had a really, really good year last year. JT did. Really
He did.
Good.
He hit 277, 21 homers, 74 ribs. Or, if some of you might notice, that is a worse year than Contreras' 2017 season. So if he hadn't wet the bed last year and had a really bad offensive second half of the season, Contreras would be the undisputed best offensive second base or catcher under 30. And here we are debating it with a guy whose career best numbers are similar to Contreras's.
Did I just get destroyed in this debate? I totally just lost it. I did. I lost. I lost, and that's fine. I'm okay with losing. That means Contreras is the best catcher in baseball.
He's hitting better right now than any catcher in baseball. I will say that. So it's a different argument.
I'm looking for consistency. I guess consistency is also part of my argument. Like when Buster Posey was in his prime, he was consistently, no doubt, the best all-around catcher in baseball.
Yes, that is true. And also, just so we know, JT Realmuto is worth more wins. He's probably a better catcher if you look at the totality of what makes a catcher great. Framing, defense, everything. I mean, Contreras' framing is like the worst in baseball.
No, it's horrible.
I don't notice it necessarily, but I mean, I need to get more on the framing train.
Did you watch last night's game, Saturday's game with Leicester? How many of those that when Rossi was catching, or if Victor Carantini was catching, that those balls would have been called strikes on the outside, especially with the cutter?
Or Taylor Davis. That guy is a
great
excellent
framer. Like that's the reason he's still in baseball. I've decided this.
I did tell my daughter to watch everything he does before he swings because he keeps his hands engaged well, and I like that. He has good balance. He just, when the ball comes, he doesn't.
His swing looks like Bartolo Colon's.
His swing does, yes, but his pre-swing approach is one that I told my 7-year-old to kind of watch because I'm trying to get her to keep her hands engaged while she's up there so that she doesn't have to, lock and load too late and then she's way behind on pitches. So Taylor Davis is a guy who does that very well before the pitch comes. And then when it does come, he looks like a fat 45-year-old pitcher who has never hit a home run until a couple of years ago.
Bartolo hit a home run, but yes. That's it. I'm telling you, when he makes contact, like when he hit that grand slam when he was up, I still don't know how that ball went out. He looked like me at Sluggers after I've had about 5 beers.
I love Sluggers.
I do too. It's such a great bar.
It is. That's the bar my wife and I tell people you have to go to. Just like, oh, if you're in the area, you got to go to Sluggers. Take a couple of cuts, get some shots, see how good you are, see how good you think you are after you watched a guy go 0 for 4 with 3 strikeouts.
Yeah, because what? The fastest that thing goes is, I wanted to say 78, maybe 80.
Yeah, I think it goes 80 miles an hour. It's that looks really fast, man.
It does.
When you've had a couple of Coors Lights, it looks really fast.
Yeah, but when you're Coors Light, what are you doing to me?
Jeez. I don't feel like there are too many beers I can say where you're not going to go. Who is this? Who is this sycophant? Who is this neophyte?
There's
who's trying
2 beers
to drink?
that I will not drink.
Beer.
Bud Light and Coors Light. Just happens to be Coors Light.
Pardon me while I remove the monocle from my eye, and I must look closely. At
I think I could rock a monocle.
Beverage
I think I could rock a monocle if I had to.
I think you could. And a cummerbund and an opera hat. I imagine you, Chipper, as the guy on the cover of the New Yorker, like that little logo that they've got with all that. That's you on your day off from podcasting.
That's true. That's true. Maybe that is. You never know.
Yes, telling the wife, darling, put your evening pearls on tonight. No, not the ones you use to wash dishes. Just your evening pearls while we're going out. We need to go over to see a nice theatrical performance by some of the finer players in this part of the country.
We're meeting Charles and Buffy at the yacht club for dinner.
Buffy. That's wonderful.
This is the Ivy Boys podcast presented by RebeccaSellsDreams.com. Rebecca Lewis, Colwell Baker, Gundecker, 314-369-9680. Before we continue with baseball talk, I think that's what we're doing. We really haven't.
We've talked Kimbrel and Contreras. What more is there?
Victor,
and the fact that the Cubs are in first place.
Victor Caratini.
And Caratini.
It's time for our beer. By the way,
okay.
Beer of the show. So, Joel, if you want to go ahead and jump on first, what are you drinking tonight, Joel?
Okay, so here's the thing. I love beer. I also like wine. I like whiskey. My wife is taking me to Whiskey Weekend in Galena next year. Very excited for that. So I like things with a little bit of flavor. And I don't always like the darker beers. For example, right now, this is not my beer. I am drinking Arnold Palmer Spiked. Very, very tasty.
Okay.
I am enjoying that very much. This is my primer. So, spilled a little bit.
That's all right.
I'll say it's on purpose. That's fine. We won't edit this.
Well, no, we're not editing. We don't edit anymore, by the way.
You
get what you get with us.
Last time, I was heavily criticized for drinking Bud Light. So I thought, I'm going to go in a different direction. And tonight, I am drinking Bud Light Lime.
Oh my gosh.
The finest of all lime beers. I've got a little here.
No, it's not. By the way, it's not. Michelob Ultra Lime Cactus is better than Bud Light Lime.
All right. Tell you what, I will drink that next week, and I'll have a comparison.
I like
I'll let
that
you know
idea.
what I think.
I like
All
that
right.
idea.
This is drank out of a Fender's glass. Fender's is the only brewery in Polk City where I live. If you're watching this and you're in Chicago, I know some people might be watching this. You know, they looked up Cubs, they Googled it or checked it out on YouTube.
And if you haven't left yet after our random talk that we do.
Got some Javi Baez on the TV behind me from last night's game, as a matter of fact.
Looks good.
Yeah. The only brewery in my town is Fender's. Polk City is to Des Moines that like Highland Park would be to Chicago, if you're familiar with that area. In terms of proximity, size of that neighborhood to Chicago, and like home prices, you think Highland Park. That's what Polk City is. So
okay.
if you want to kind of reference, but. This is from them. If you're ever in the area, I highly suggest it. They're very nice. Jason is a follower of mine on Twitter, big Chicago baseball guy, and I hope he is watching this now. Okay. So what are you drinking, Chipper?
I am drinking, and I told you this is what I was going to drink. I told you this last week. I went with one of that face.
Sorry.
that one of two beers that I put some kind of fruit in.
Okay.
One of them, of course, is Corona and lime, because Corona without lime is not good.
You don't do Blue Moon with the orange
I
peel?
hate Blue Moon.
Oh my. Okay.
Hate it. It's not good.
Okay.
No, that's too sweet for me. Too sweet, especially with an orange. The other beer is what I'm drinking tonight. That is Goose Island 312 Urban Wheat.
It's a winner. I love Goose Island. My first ever one was at Wrigley Field.
Yes, I love this beer. I love Miller Lite. I love Busch Light. I love this beer more than those two. It's higher alcohol volume, so when you're drinking quite a bit of them, it goes to, it gets you there faster than I sometimes want to be. Does that make sense? I think that makes sense.
It makes total sense. That's one of the reasons I like Bud Light, is because I can drink like 5 of them and be fine.
Right?
Or find a drive. I mean, I feel.
Well,
good,
no. And you know what? I'm perfectly okay. I'm speaking for Joel here. We do not drink and drive.
No.
Do not do that.
Not.
We condone that. Don't do that. It's not fun. Don't.
But
no.
I do encourage drinking and podcasting. That is a very good time.
Yes, that is awesome.
Hey, quick question. Maybe people at home might be able to relate to this. Are there any beers that you had for the first time at Wrigley Field? I have 2 in my list that I had for the first time at Wrigley.
One, it was an Old Style.
That's right.
Old Style was the first time I ever had it, and then I tried to have it outside of Wrigley, and it's absolutely disgusting. For whatever reason, it only tastes good at Wrigley.
So I think that it kind of tastes like if Bud Light and Budweiser had a baby. It's just a little bit less sharp than Budweiser, but it's sharper than Bud Light. It's kind of in the middle there. I'm with you. I went to Wrigley, drank it, fell in love. I was about 3 weeks after my 21st birthday. I bought a 30-pack when I got back home, and I think I drank 6 of them.
It's not good.
No.
Not good. It's only good
really
on draft at Wrigley. Only good at draft at Wrigley. So for the 312, I've got that here, and I've got the lemon.
I've got my Bud Light Lime. Are we going to chug this?
We are. I'm squeezing the lemon in. Now, usually, I drop the lemon in and let it drink, with that. But since we're chugging it, I'm not going to do that because I don't want to choke and die. So, by the way, my glass, 312 glass. This is the only beer that I drink out of this thing. And I stole this. Actually, my wife stole this from a restaurant we went to because they promised me that no matter how many I drank, I get to keep all the glasses. And I had about 8 of them, and they took them away. So I ordered another one, and she put it in her purse.
I had some friends in college who they made a habit of stealing glasses from restaurants. They would just say that they wanted to keep one for the ice, and then as soon as the waitress was gone, they had like 4 or 5 at the table, and then they would just throw one in their bag or whatever they had with them. So I never got it. I never understood the kleptomania of that, but it was the thing they were into.
Well, this kind of glass, though. I mean, that glass is available.
I get that.
That's
glass. Special.
Exactly. Okay, so you ready? I got to move the microphone away.
Let's make it happen, Captain.
All right, ready? 1, 2, 3. Oh.
That was great.
That was awesome, but that was a lot.
Are you okay?
Yeah, that was a lot heavier than a Miller Lite or a Busch Light. Woo! It was delicious, though. That was delicious. I'm okay with that.
That was a lot, man. That was really good.
I'm good now. Well, that was fun. This is the Ivy Boys Podcast, presented by Rebecca Lewis of Coldwell Banker Gundecker, RebeccaSellsDreams.com, 314-369-9680. Oh, I had to swallow there. If you don't want to strike out and sell in your home, contact the real MVP realtor of the St. Louis area. Rebecca Lewis with Coldwell Banker Gundecker can answer all your questions related to selling your home fast. Her detailed marketing plan will outline her impressive online presence and a recommended professionals list that includes contractors, painters, home cleaning, and a home staging service that will keep your home at the top of any buyer's must-have list. Rebecca knows this area and can expertly consult you on your area's property values, information about housing trends, and how Coldwell Banker Gundecker will get your home sold fast. Call Rebecca Lewis at 314-369-9680 to get your home on the market now. Okay, so we're gonna kind of wrap it up now. I think we're both. It's no secret we're very happy with the way the Rockies series went and the Cardinals series has gone so far. They're now just playing the last game of the Cardinals Cubs series at Wrigley. As you can tell by the bottom of this page, it says Cubs go for a sweep of boring Cardinals. Right? I did that I did a YouTube video earlier this morning, and I mentioned how boring St. Louis was. So definitely check that out. If you're here, like and subscribe to this YouTube channel. You'll see great videos like that, not only from the podcast, but quick hits from me and Joel. So
my wife is an avid Cubs fan, and she watches the podcast, but she's also just a decent person. So she does look for fun things to do in St. Louis, since we're in Des Moines and we're kind of equidistant from about 5 or 6 major metro areas. And she'll send me little links like, hey, we could do the Science Center, or we could do the museum. And I'm like, stop it. You're ruining the narrative. I'm trying to keep St. Louis boring in my mind. You're sending me all these interesting, fun things we could do with the kids. Please knock it off. I want to know, and I want to think that it's nothing but violence and burning piles of garbage. That's all I want to assume that St. Louis is.
You go about to the Dome, north of the Dome in downtown. That's exactly what it is.
Cool. Now I know.
Yes. I will say this. I've been here for 19 years. And yes, it is fun to say boring. That St. Louis is really boring. They are trying, I will say that, downtown. From revamping the Arch grounds to redoing Soldiers Memorial. See, okay, so you have the Arch. Everybody knows where the Arch is. And straight back, you have 2 roads, and that's Market Street. Okay? And it's there's one side that goes one way and the other side goes the other. So you have all this land between the 2 sides of Market. And they are trying to make it where you can go from one side of the city and just walk Market, and it's all revamped and redone, and it looks amazing.
Cool.
And yeah, they're really trying on this one. I will give them that. But don't walk a block north or south.
Got it. I will.
Not yet,
got
anyways. Not yet.
Okay.
We're not there yet. Just stay on
Right,
Market, and you are good. You're good. You can walk from Union Station to the Enterprise Center, or where the MLS soccer stadium is going to be. You walk all the way down to Busch Stadium, Ballpark Village, and then keep going to the Soldiers Memorial, the old courthouse, and then the Arch. And it's great. It's absolutely great, but don't be doing that like at 9 p.m.
We when we're in Chicago, and people who live in Chicago might scoff at this, but my wife and we try to stay at Jackson or north of Jackson. If we go south of Jackson, my wife gets a little nervous. And I get it, and that's south loop, that's not that bad.
No.
And I go, babe, maybe we can walk to just a little bit further. She goes, no, I'm good. I don't even know if I want to go to Chinatown. Okay, fair enough. So I get what you mean. Here in Des Moines, it's interesting because even the bad parts of town are not all that bad. I mean, people who live in Des Moines are generally nice people. So.
Yeah. No, I've been to Des Moines several times. I love it.
Well,
can't wait to go back. Is that weird? Has anybody ever said that?
No,
I can't wait to go back to Des Moines.
Yeah, I say it all the time, man. After about 6 days in Chicago, I started thinking, I really wish I could have a High Life Lounge burger. That's the thing I miss the most from this town.
I'm talking about people like me who don't live there. I don't think anybody's ever said that.
Fair point. So, but yeah, so here's one more thing about the Cubs' recent performance is you think about the Cubs, they lost 8 of 10 at one point.
Yeah.
They follow that up by winning 4 of 5, possibly 5 of 6. We'll see. And this is a team that can right the ship very quickly because they have veteran starting pitching, which can be good, can be bad. In the Cubs' case, it seems so far to have been good. And now, when you have the ability to right the ship with a suspect bullpen, you add a guy like Craig Kimbrel, and suddenly you feel much more comfortable with the notion that you might be able to go on extended runs of greatness and mitigate those rough patches to maybe losing a series. Maybe you lose 2 of 3 in the middle of July rather than losing 7 of 8 because you got swept, lost 2 or 3, and got swept again or something like that. So I know this is man, it's such a huge win for the Cubs to get Craig Kimbrel.
Absolutely.
Think about that. You don't just have it this year. You have him You don't just have him this year. You have him next year, the year after. This is the year that matters right now, and this is a team that's built to win. They're built to get to the World Series right now.
They have about a 2.5-year window if you don't think about any extensions or anything like that.
Yep.
Lester's contract's up. Chris Bryant's contract's up. Rizzo's contract, I think, has an option. Baez is up. Yeah, you have about a 2.5-year window.
I am so happy that Chris Bryant is making me look like an idiot.
Oh, me too. I wasn't going to bring that up yet. I was going to give him another month, and then I was going to mention it.
Yeah, well, hey, you can mention it in a month as well. But
okay, I will.
He has played as well, maybe even better, than his MVP season. So I'm along for the ride. I'm loving it because he's a guy who you want to succeed. You want all these guys to succeed. I mean, even the guys who you don't like personally, you want them to succeed on the field. And some guys like Javier Baez have had great linear development where they just get better every year. Chris Bryant got better. Well, he started out great, plateaued, and now he's back to that greatness. And if you have the 2016 season version of Chris Bryant as the best version of him, and he doesn't get any better over the next 3-4 seasons, just maintains that.
That's okay.
Dude, keep it. You're absolutely right, Chipper. That's okay.
That's okay. I'm good with that. Yeah, I mean, this team, Craig Kimbrel, and I said this in my YouTube video, and I stand by this. Craig Kimbrel comes out and is Craig Kimbrel that we know. And yeah, there's naysayers that say, well, look at Greg Holland last year. We're not talking about Greg Holland.
No, we're not.
That's Greg Holland. We are talking about Craig Kimbrel.
Oh, I'm looking up Greg Holland's numbers. I know we need to cut this short, but
that's fine. But Craig Kimbrel, if he comes out and can beat Craig Kimbrel, it's over. It's over. Like I said in the video, I don't care anymore about Milwaukee. I don't care about St. Louis. They're going to fight for the wild card. It is over. The Cubs are going back to the NLCS. They most likely will face the Dodgers. And I'm going to say it like I said in the YouTube video. Cubs are going back to the series.
Okay.
It's over. They're going back to the series. And then the World Series, of course, is whatever. But
you're on record.
Yeah, this is my stance since the Kimbrel signing. Cubs are going back to the series.
Greg Holland in 2017, when he was an All-Star, he had a 3.61 ERA and followed it up with a 7.92 ERA as a Cardinal. However, when he went to the Washington Nationals,
yes,
in the middle of the season, he was lights out. He had a 0.4 ERA. He had a .891 WHIP. He had an ERA plus. I can't believe this is real. He had an ERA plus of 505. He was 405% better than your average relief pitcher over his 24 games, his 21 innings with the Washington Nationals. This year, he's been great. So when we talk about Greg Holland's stretch with the Cardinals and then greatness after that.
He was stretched. I mean, he was rushed.
Yep.
He was rushed by the Cardinals because they needed somebody now at that moment. And he was rushed through. But he wasn't doing what Craig Kimbrel was doing.
This might be the Cubs fan in me talking, but I don't think it is. I think it can be objectively true. The Cubs' infrastructure as a baseball organization is superior to the St. Louis Cardinals. Did not always used to be that way, but it has been in recent years. And I think the Cubs' handling of Craig Kimbrel is going to be better than the facilitating of Greg Holland into the closer role for the St. Louis team.
I agree.
And for that, I feel really good. I think that the Cubs are going to do this the right way. Why? Because they handle players and player development. I want to say they handle it the right way, but once they get to the major leagues, it seems to be not so consistent. But it's baseball, so that's hard to say if it's going to be consistent. I do trust them to get Kimbrel ready to his old self and prepared to crush the league in July, August, and September, and hopefully October, and maybe just a little bit of November.
Yes, just a little bit. A couple
just
days.
A little bit.
Just a couple days. All right, Joel, let's wrap it up. Do you have a final thought tonight? Because I don't. But if you do, go ahead.
Well, my final thought last week, just so I want to come back to that. The Cubs were a game and a half out when we recorded, and I said they would be better than a game and a half out at the recording of this show, and they were. Not a terribly bold statement when you have a team that on paper is just as good as the Cubs are. Right. I will say this week, if I'm going to be in the prediction business, which I shouldn't be, but I'll try, my pick to click this week, a guy who I want to watch out for, honestly, is Jose Quintana. I want to see what he does this week with his start. He's been a little up and down lately after a dominant stretch of games. You look at all the Cubs pitchers this season, even Yu Darvish, you look at his last couple of starts, he's been fine. He hasn't been $21 million a year fine, but he's been fine. I want to see what Jose Quintana does in this next start, because I feel like he is an underrated part of the Cubs' future success this year. If he is great, if he is a great 3 or 4 starter, and right now he's probably a 4 because of Cole Hamels, I think the Cubs are going to go a long way this season, a long way toward that 99 wins that I predicted a couple of shows ago. So Quintana's next start, I'm expecting big things out of him. That's my final thought.
That's good. That's good. I like that. I agree with you. I lied. I have just a small one. They go to Colorado to start the week. And that offense is going to hit in Colorado. I mean, it's Colorado. It's just a matter of the pitching can hold them, like hold that offense of the Rockies, and I think they can. I really do. This team's starting to roll. I know they had a little hiccup in St. Louis last weekend, but they're about to return the favor to the Cardinals this weekend. So they're going on a roll. This team's getting there, and I'm very excited about that. Which is why, again, with Craig Kimbrel and the way they're playing right now, Cubs are going back to the series. That's my final thought. Yeah, that's it for us. You can follow us on Facebook, on Twitter, Facebook. That's weird. Who goes Facebook first? You can follow us on Twitter at the Ivy Boys. Follow me on Twitter at ChipperStrike3, just the number 3. Follow Joel on Twitter at Fry Sports Radio. I will never forget that now because it's literally right in front of me. You can like us on Facebook. He's laughing. Like us on Facebook, the Ivy Boys, of course. You're watching us, which means you're on YouTube. Like and subscribe to this page, please. You not only will get every single, and if you turn the notifications on, you'll know when the podcast gets posted every week. And when a random video shows up of either me just absolutely destroying the rest of the National League because the Cubs signed Craig Kimbrel, which is, fine. Or Joel jumping on and doing a YouTube video, which I would like to see maybe this week. That would be fun. Give you a login for the YouTube. I think you have it.
Deal. No pressure.
Yeah, no pressure at all. Just do it. So definitely turn on, like, subscribe to the YouTube page. That would be amazing. Head over to the website, theivyboys.com. That's where you'll find great content, Joel's blogs, and I don't want to brag or anything like that. I wrote a blog. Joel, I wrote a blog. Can you believe
Congratulations. I saw the blog.
I feel like I accomplished something in my life by writing a blog. I think that was my first blog I wrote in over a year, is what that was. Last one was something about Rod Manford and...
Blackout restrictions?
No. Oh, that's a good one though.
Huh?
No, it was about like labor talks. Who's the Players Association head of them? Tony Clark.
Is it Tony Clark? Yeah.
Yeah, it was Tony versus Rob. That's what that was about. It was a good one. You should read it. But anyways, theivyboys.com. Check it out. You'll see stuff like that. You'll see posts from the YouTube page on there. Also, anything on Twitter and Facebook shows up on there. Check it out. If you like the way that our website looks, go down. You see Bob's name on the bottom. Click it. BobRufo.com. 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 If you need a website done or really any logo or anything like that, let's say you're on a sports team, something along like that, and you want a cool logo for your shirts, BobRufo.com is the way to go. Every logo you see here on the YouTube channel is Bob's doing. Looks amazing. It is. He does outstanding work. Highly recommended. He does all our, shirts and hats. This hat, for instance, right here, as you can see. The Ivy Boys. Bob did that one. So definitely check him out. Contact him if you need anything. Also, if you want, they're going to kill me for saying this, but if you like the way the website looks or like the way this looks, let's just say, contact Bob, because him and Vince can help you out there with possibly doing stuff like this. Vince does an amazing work for us. He's the reason why we are here with you on YouTube right now. He has set all this up for us. He's taught me as much as I need to know right now on how to run this. This is all Vince. I just talk. That's what I do. So definitely check them out. Also check out their podcast, Beyond the Cube, the best podcast in the 815. Beyond the Cube. That's Bob and Vince. They just talk real talk. Just real life talk is what they do. And it's an awesome podcast. I've been on it once. Definitely check it out. Anyways, folks, that is it for us. Thank you so much for listening and watching. I got to start throwing that one in there, Joel. The watching part. Still getting there. Yes, so thanks so much for watching. We appreciate the support, and we will see you next episode.